Hi everyone, it's me, John Whaite, and I'm back yet again on the Waitrose channel. Now, I don't know if you can hear the birds singing, but summer is well and truly here. And to celebrate that, I'm gonna make something really light and delicious. It's a soba noodle salad with a miso, tahini, and ginger dressing. And let me tell you something, it's banging, which means beautiful. Apparently, that's how the cool kids say it. Soba noodles are a little bit nutty, really gorgeous kind of nutty texture and flavor. And the dressing is a mixture of tahini, miso, honey, lime, cashew nuts and coriander. So it's a really gorgeous kind of Eastern flavor vibe. But it's also a bit of a mix and a mingle because you've got the tahini with the miso. And those two things actually work beautifully. A bit strange, but give it a try. So the first thing I need to do is get me soba noodles weighed out and cooked. And you might think weighing soba noodles is a bit of a faff, but my foolproof method is to put a little glass on a scale and weigh out exactly what you need. And they don't go tumbling all over your kitchen floor. I'm using soba noodles because I really love the nuttiness of them. They're made from buckwheat, so they're naturally gluten-free and got a great kind of chewy texture. But if you wanted to use an udon noodle, a rice noodle, you could even use spaghetti, and I wouldn't judge you, whatever floats your boat. So into the pan with the noodles. Just gonna break them in half first. And that's simply because that way they'll fit into the pan more easily. So while the soba noodles have a couple of minutes cooking, I'm gonna trim some fine beans. Just chop those little ends off, and they can of course go into your regular food compost. And then I'm gonna just chop the beans into 1-2 centimeter slices, just to make them a little bit more manageable. I love this recipe because I love the combination of miso and sesame. Of course, miso is a Japanese fermented rice paste, and it's often used with sesame flavors. And tahini is made from sesame. So although it's different culture, sometimes when two cultures collide, beautiful things happen. And that's what this recipe is all about. And apart from that, above all else, it just tastes amazing. And at summertime, you want a salad that you want people to come around at summer and say, oh, guess what I had at John's house? I'm gonna go home and recreate it. That's the kind of salad this is. It'll inspire your pals, make them slightly jealous at first, but they'll go home and try and beat you. And that's a good salad. So I've got my fine beans trimmed and chopped here, and I've also got a little bowl here of frozen peas. And once the noodles have had 2 minutes or so, and actually I think we're about there. So in with the beans, and then in with the peas as well. And naturally, because you're gonna put frozen peas into hot water, ooh, and the bowl apparently. And naturally, because you're putting cold peas into hot water, the water will come down from a boil. So let it come back up to a boil and then reset the timer. So while they do their thing in the pan, I'm gonna make that fabulous dressing that I've been bragging about all morning. Into this bowl, I'm gonna put some tahini. And this, of course, is just made from ground sesame, so it's a lovely, gorgeous, nutty flavor to it. Quite bitter as well. And then in with the miso paste, which is, of course, fermented soy and rice. So it's a bitter, tangy, quite salty flavor. The stuff in the pan's ready, so while that just waits there for me, I'm going to drain my pan. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to let a little bit of cold water start to rinse through that, and the cold water will just stop that cooking. And while they're cool, I'll finish off this gorgeous dressing. So I've got my tahini and my miso in there. I'm going to add now some honey. Honey, of course, is made from... And honey isn't actually vegan, believe it or not. So if you are a vegan and you want to recreate this, you could use something like agave nectar. Anything sweet and runny, chuck it in. And then just to slacken the dressing down a little bit, just 2 tablespoons of water. So give this a whisk. And if you want the full recipe, click the link, which is down in the description. So that's the dressing. I'm gonna add a couple more bits and bobs to it. Just 4 little salad onions. I'm gonna chop the ends off and chuck those in my compost. And then just finely slice the onions. And of course, use all the way to the green bit as well. Don't be afraid of the green. Beautiful color palette. And they go into the bowl with that dressing. And then just to give it a little bit more of a kick, because we all like a kick in summer, let's face it, I'm gonna add some ginger. And the great thing about ginger when you buy it fresh like this is in the shop, you can just snap off what you need and use that. And then to peel it, if I were to use a potato peeler on this or a knife, you'd take a lot of the flesh away, which is quite wasteful. So I find if you just use a teaspoon, it doesn't have to be gold, I'm just a bit jazzy, just peel it off like that. It smells so good. Any leftover fresh ginger that you might have is delicious, sliced up in a glass of cold lemonade, mixed with some hot water, honey and lemon, and a bit of whiskey for a hot toddy. There's plenty of stuff you can do with fresh ginger. I could write a book on it. So all I'm gonna do with the ginger is just grate it finely into the bowl of dressing. I love this salad so much because the dressing, it's got all these punchy flavors in there. And I find that the miso is just such an unusual flavor. People love it. White miso is a little bit softer than the red miso, which you can get. If you want to make it with a bit more of a kick, chuck a bit of red miso in there. Okay, ginger's in. So I'll give that a good mix together. And then, oh, I almost forgot my avocado. That's an integral part of this recipe. So I'm gonna add the flesh of one lovely ripe avocado. If you're not sure what a ripe avocado looks like, because you can't actually tell if it's ripe from looking at it, give it a gentle squeeze and it should feel slightly soft and mushy. If it completely explodes in your hand, then it's too ripe. And also it's exploded so you can't use it. But if it's nice and soft, then you should be about right. Similar to a banana. How's this one looking? This is lovely and soft. So just with a spoon, scoop bits out. You could scoop it all out and then dice it, but if it's soft as this one is, I just say get your spoon in there and scoop out little nuggets of that beautiful green flesh. Ooh yeah, look at that. And of course you can't have avocado without lime. Well, you can have avocado without lime. It's not a sacred rule, but avocado and lime are a match made in heaven. So to this, I'm gonna add the juice of one lime as well. I always find if you give it a roll first, quite a forceful roll, that helps to kind of pop the little segments open. And if you're a really strict vegan and you're worried about wax, then of course buy unwaxed limes. I'm fortunate enough to have one of these contraptions. If you're not, don't worry, but it does get every last drop of juice out. So I'll give this a good mix together. And then all I need to do now is have a quick clear down and then add those noodles and beans and peas to this dressing. And into the bowl they go. And you can see just how beautiful and green those beans and peas are. And then just give this a good mix. Get all the noodles and everything really well mixed and mingled. Noodles meet peas, peas meet noodles. Practically Cupid, aren't they? So I'm gonna let that sit for just a minute so the noodles can soak up some of that dressing. And while they do, I've got here some cashew nuts, which I just toasted in a dry pan just until they were slightly darkened and flavorful. But Waitrose do actually sell ready roasted cashew nuts. So if you wanted to save a bit of time, buy those instead. Just chop these roughly. I don't want them to be too thin and too little and powdery, but nor do I want them to be too big and overwhelming. So just a neither fine nor coarse chop, something in the middle. And then onto what is quite possibly one of the most polarizing things in the kitchen, and this is a very serious topic, coriander. Now, a lot of people love coriander, but many people loathe it. Let me know in the comments whether you love or loathe coriander, and if you hate it, no judgment, but what we'll use instead. Parsley, tarragon, chervil, let me know. So I'm just gonna roughly chop the coriander, and I'm not too fussed about stalks. I think there's so much flavor in stalks, so I don't waste time plucking the leaves from the stalks. I just chop the stalks nice and finely and add those too. If you buy a generous bunch of coriander and you feel a bit overwhelmed by it, you don't know what to do with it, it stores beautifully in a jar or a little glass with water, and then pop that in the fridge and it'll last there for ages. So just keep plucking what you need and pop it back in the fridge. And this will serve two as a main course, but if you're having this as part of a larger spread or a buffet, if you're a buffet kind of person, then it'll serve quite a few more. And of course, you could always make extra, just scale the recipe up to serve as many people as you want to serve. So I want you to imagine now being sat outside, the sun's beaming down on your face, the birds are singing, and you've got this salad in front of you, your pals are around, and it's just the perfect salad to serve at a summer party. Am I selling it enough for you? I know I'm taking a long time to do this, but I want it to be like a glorious big pile in the middle of the plate. Okay, and then to finish this, of course, those chopped cashew nuts, just let them tumble on, and then finish that with that beautiful, controversial coriander. And look at that, a beautiful pile of salad, perfect for an afternoon in the garden. So there you have it, guys, that gorgeous, nutty soba noodle, beautiful beans, beautiful peas. That dressing, I can't describe that dressing to you. It's slightly creamy. The avocado makes it even more creamy, but thanks to the miso and the lime, it isn't too heavy. This is an unusual, beautiful, perfect summer salad, and I really, really hope you enjoy making it. And if you love the sound and look of this recipe, get more videos by hitting the subscribe button and pressing that notification bell. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Actually, I won't see you, but you'll see me right here on the Waitrose channel.